From the time Batista decided to break the rules by intentionally drawing blood during a fight, to the time Teddy Hart got in trouble for using banned moves, WWE wrestlers have been known to go off script and do unthinkable things. In this video, I will be showing you live moments of WWE wrestlers breaking character. Chris Jericho and the microphone toss. During Chris Jericho's early days in WWE, he was in the midst of cutting a promo when he broke character and did something that would remain with him for a long time. As the promo was going on, his microphone began to malfunction, leaving Jericho's words lost in the void. In a moment of frustration, Jericho channeled an act he had seen performed by none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin, a wrestler whose rebellious antics were legendary. Jericho threw the malfunctioning microphone into the crowd. The crowd immediately reacted, the energy in the arena spiking at this unexpected turn of events. However, this surprising act would have consequences that extended far beyond the immediate thrill it provided the audience. Backstage, Jericho was confronted by Vince McMahon, the chairman of WWE. McMahon was less than pleased with Jericho's action. The microphone, McMahon emphasized, was not just a tool of the trade, but an expensive piece of equipment, and throwing it into the crowd was both reckless and costly. Jericho defended himself by saying that he had seen Austin do the same thing multiple times. McMahon responded by stating that Austin was WWE's top star, a man who had reached a level of fame and success that afforded him certain liberties. Juventud Guerrera off-limit moves. Juventud was no doubt a great wrestler who loved the sport, but he may have taken it to an uncomfortable level for WWE. Juventud's passion for the sport and desire to entertain sometimes clashed with WWE's vision and policies. For example, his use of certain aerial moves, which were considered off-limits by the company, raised eyebrows among WWE officials. One of Juventud's final matches in WWE was against Paul London, a fellow cruiserweight known for his own high-flying abilities. As the match reached its peak, Juventud ascended to the top turnbuckle, and in a moment, he launched into a 450 splash, a move that had been explicitly banned by WWE due to its high risk. The move was carried out with Juventud's typical precision, but this time the consequences were dire. Paul London's face suffered the consequences of the impact, resulting in a fracture that sent shockwaves through the WWE community. Juventud's actions were seen as a defiance of WWE's safety protocols, and his willingness to risk not only his own well-being, but that of his fellow wrestlers was considered unacceptable. The incident with Paul London was the tipping point, a clear sign that Juventud's time in WWE was coming to an end. In January 2006, less than a year after his celebrated debut, Juventud Guerrera was released from his WWE contract. Crime Time's auction gone wrong. Crime Time, made up of JTG's agility and Shad's power, were a formidable duo. They were a threat in the tag team division. But then came the incident that would overshadow all their previous exploits. The incident unfolded during a live event where Crime Time was pitted against the team of Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. The match was going as planned until an unexpected practical joke caused things to take a dark turn. In a moment that left the audience shocked, Shad lifted the referee onto his shoulders, and JTG, thinking this was part of the show, hit their finishing move. Crime Time, always the showman, played to the audience, auctioning off the referee's belt as they had done so many times with other items. The fans ate it up, but backstage, the mood was very different. As soon as Crime Time stepped through the curtain, Barry Windham, their agent, pulled Shad aside for a serious conversation, leaving JTG with a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. The following day, the consequences of their actions came crashing down. John Laurinaitis, the man responsible for talent relations, called JTG and Shad into his office and informed them that they were being released from their contracts. Big Cass's Little Person segment gone wrong. After suffering a knee injury in 2017, Big Cass was away from the spotlight for months. When he returned in April 2018, he was repackaged as a solo competitor, and his storyline was changed so that his major target was Daniel Bryan. The two were scheduled to face off at the Backlash pay-per-view event, and the weeks leading up to their confrontation were filled with tension and anticipation. Big Cass was determined to make a statement and solidify his status as a main event caliber wrestler. During the segment, an unexpected turn of events occurred. When Cass called for Bryan to confront him face-to-face, he was met by a little person dressed as Bryan. The geek impersonator mimicked Bryan's mannerisms, playing into Cass's narrative while Cass insulted the impersonator with a series of short jokes. The script called for Cass to end the mockery with a single big boot. However, what happened next was not scripted. In a moment that shocked both the live audience and the viewers at home, Big Cass proceeded to unleash a barrage of fists upon the impersonator. Backstage, Vince McMahon, who had explicitly denied Cass's request to extend the attack, was reportedly furious at Cass's display of disregard for his authority. This would lead to Big Cass getting fired from WWE. Ric Flair's controversial promo. By 2004, Ric Flair was no longer just a wrestler. His role had evolved. He was now the elder statesman of the ring. He was a mentor to the rising stars and a bridge between the past and the future of the sport. Flair's affiliation with Evolution, a faction that included Triple H, Batista, and the up-and-coming Randy Orton, positioned him as a kingmaker, the man who could anoint the next face of the company. During one episode of Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden, Flair was scheduled to address the crowd and, more importantly, to speak on Randy Orton's rising career. The promo was expected to be a standard affair, with Flair hyping Orton's achievements and setting the stage for his next conquest. Flair began his promo in his usual way, praising Orton's lineage and hyping his potential. But as he continued, his words took a sharp turn. Flair, in an attempt to juxtapose his own legendary status with Orton's rising star, made a comment that would become infamous. He referred to Orton as a virgin in the world of wrestling. Then Flair proclaimed himself an expert at making newcomers holler, scream, and bleed. The crowd's reaction was mixed, with some cheering the audacity of Flair's words, while others sensed the trouble that was sure to follow. In response to Flair's audacious promo, Vince McMahon put an end to unscripted promos. Teddy Hart and the Scramble Cage Incident. As the new millennium dawned, Teddy Hart was a rising star who controlled the spotlight. However, behind the scenes, Teddy had attitude problems. Stories of backstage altercations, no-shows at events, and a general disregard for wrestling etiquette proved he was at odds with the industry's unwritten codes. Hart showcased his attitude to the world in a November 2003 Scramble Cage match. This was set to be a chaotic free-for-all involving multiple tag teams, all vying for victory. For Teddy Hart, it was an opportunity to showcase his skills on a grand stage. The competitors were aware of the risks, but none could have predicted the actions of Teddy Hart that night. The match began with the usual fanfare, but as it progressed, it became clear that Teddy Hart wanted to dominate. Without warning or reason, Teddy began to deviate from the planned sequence of events. He climbed up the cage multiple times, executing unplanned and highly dangerous moonsaults onto the other wrestlers below. These were not the calculated risks that performers agreed upon before a match. These were reckless acts, endangering not only himself, but also his fellow wrestlers who were unprepared to catch him. The immediate aftermath of Teddy Hart's stunts was as chaotic as the match itself. Teddy Hart's bags were thrown out of the building. He was subsequently banned from Ring of Honor. Perry Saturn goes off on Mike Bell. Perry Saturn began his journey to WWE as a United States Army recruit. Under the tutelage of the legendary Killer Kowalski, Saturn honed his craft and transformed into a formidable wrestler. Surprisingly, Saturn made a questionable decision in May 2001 that would forever alter the course of his career. In a match against Mad Dog Mike Bell, Perry Saturn was supposed to showcase his abilities against Mike Bell. However, the script was flipped in a way that no one could have predicted. As the match began, the two wrestlers engaged, with Saturn assuming control as planned. Things took a different turn when Bell attempted a hip toss that went off course, followed by an arm drag that sent Saturn crashing onto his head. In a flash, Saturn's behavior shifted from professional to vengeful. He unleashed a number of stiff shots, a term wrestlers use for real unscripted hits, on a surprised Bell. The audience watched in shock as Saturn, fueled by rage, tossed Bell out of the ring and he landed headfirst into the protective padding outside. But Saturn's fury did not subside. He proceeded to lift Bell and throw him onto the steel stairs, a dangerous move that could have had grave consequences. The match eventually concluded, but the damage was done. Saturn's actions were met with immediate consequences. The WWF decided to alter Saturn's trajectory. He was soon given a new gimmick, one that involved a mop named Moppy. This change was widely speculated to be a form of punishment for the incident with Bell. Batista's 2008 blading incident. In the WWE Universe, 2008 marked a pivotal year as the company transitioned to a PG rating, a bold shift from its edgier TV-14 days. This was a clever move, but it came at a cost to the storytelling freedom wrestlers like Batista cherished. The PG era meant no more intentional bloodshed, cleaner language, and a departure from sexual content. For a performer like Batista, whose career was built on the physical storytelling of wrestling, this was a creative cage. On Raw's 800th episode, Batista and Chris Jericho were fighting to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and the pressure to deliver an unforgettable match was huge. Despite the new PG guidelines, Batista and Jericho conspired to bring a level of intensity to their match that was famous in a bygone era. They agreed that blading, the act of cutting oneself to draw blood, was necessary. As the match progressed, Batista and Jericho brought their plan to life when Jericho struck Batista with a steel pipe. The blade did its work, and blood began to flow. At the end of the day, the consequences of this action extended beyond Batista. Chris Jericho, referee Mike Chioda, and producer Dean Malenko, who had varying degrees of involvement in the match's controversial finish, were each fined $5,000 while Batista was fined $100,000. Sami Zayn's electric chair controversy. The electric chair segment was introduced on Monday Night Raw in 2019 because the concept promised to offer the WWE Universe a chance to engage directly with its superstars. The stage was set, and the audience was buzzing with questions. Little did they know that this segment would become a lightning rod for controversy. Sami Zayn, a superstar known for his exceptional in-ring prowess and cutting-edge promos, was the chosen one to inaugurate this experimental segment. Sami Zayn, with his trademark blend of sarcasm and bravado, took his seat, ready to field questions from the WWE Universe. However, Zayn, dissatisfied by the questions being thrown at him, made a comment that would leave the audience in shock. He said, "You could have asked me about AEW." The mention of All Elite Wrestling, WWE's emerging competitor, was a moment of audacity that was as unexpected as it was controversial. The reaction was instantaneous. A murmur spread through the crowd, growing into a mix of cheers and gasps, with some fans chanting AEW's name. Had WWE sanctioned this mention of AEW, or had Zayn gone off script? Was this a genuine slip of the tongue? The questions were many, but answers were few. What was clear, however, was that the landscape of professional wrestling was shifting. AEW's emergence had sparked a fire, and WWE's response, intentional or not, had fanned the flames. Triple H consoles a child. On a typical Monday night, the WWE Raw event in Dallas would witness Triple H break out of character. Among the audience was a young boy, 8-year-old Lucien Deering, whose excitement was about to turn into an unforgettable experience. Triple H was in his element, playing the role of the aggressor with his trademark intensity. As the event unfolded, Lucien Deering found himself chanting and cheering along with those around him. His youthful voice rose above the others, calling out the name of Triple H, perhaps in the thrill of seeing the superstar in the flesh. However, Triple H turned around with a stern look and raised eyebrows to address the young fan by saying, "Hey, stop messing with me. I'm trying to do my job over here." Lucien, overwhelmed by the intensity of Triple H's character, began to cry. The sight of a young fan in distress pierced the veil of performance. Triple H, the man behind the character, could not ignore the tears of a child. In an extraordinary break from his villainous persona, he approached Lucien, leaned in, and offered words of comfort. "Hey buddy, it's okay. I'm just playing around," he said, tousling the boy's hair in a gentle, fatherly gesture. Triple H showed a side of himself that the world rarely sees. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H's real-life wife, joined in consoling Lucien. The couple invited Lucien and his father backstage. Lucien was given WWE merchandise, including a Triple H action figure, adding to his collection of over 175 items. Stephanie McMahon mocks CM Punk. On a brisk evening in 2016, the Allstate Arena was filled with anticipation as thousands of wrestling enthusiasts gathered for an episode of Monday Night Raw. A surprising event unfolded when fans of CM Punk, who were aware that he had left the WWE under less than friendly circumstances in 2014, and his presence, or lack thereof, was the elephant in the room, began to chant his name. The chants began as a murmur, but as the night progressed, the murmurs grew into a loud chorus. As the show reached its peak, Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of Vince McMahon, was in the ring when the chants grew louder. All eyes were fixed on Stephanie, awaiting her response. In a moment that would become a flashpoint in WWE history, Stephanie turned to the crowd and addressed the chants by saying, "If you guys could keep that up for about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, you'd last 1 second longer than Punk did." The reference was a clear and cutting jab at CM Punk's move into the UFC, where he had lost his debut fight in a mere 2 minutes and 14 seconds. The crowd's reaction was immediate and mixed. Some fans laughed, appreciating the sharp wit and audacity of Stephanie's retort, while others booed. Stephanie had turned the fans' tribute into a punchline. Roman Reigns deals with the what chants. At the turn of the millennium, the WWE Universe was captivated by the beer-swilling anti-authority antics of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was during this era, specifically in the year 2001, that Austin birthed the what chant. A simple, single-syllable word, designed to throw his opponents off their game, quickly became a phenomenon. Fans held on to the chant, throwing it at wrestlers with the precision of a sniper and using it to interrupt promos. Decades later, the chant has become a measure for fan engagement, a way for the WWE Universe to make their voices heard, whether in celebration, mockery, or outright boredom. Roman Reigns, the powerhouse of the WWE, has often been in the middle of the what chant's impact. During an episode of Monday Night Raw, just days before WrestleMania, Reigns stood before a sea of fans, his words meant to stoke the fires of anticipation for his upcoming clash with Brock Lesnar. But as Reigns spoke of legacy, of battles fought and victories won, the what chants began to pour down from the stands. Roman Reigns, who would not allow anyone stop him, responds to the crowd by saying, "If y'all keep whatting me, I'm gonna smash all of y'all like I would smash Steve Austin." This wouldn't be the first time that Reigns has shut the audience down. Seth Rollins laughs at Finn Balor. Finn Balor was trying to cut a promo on the Red Show, while Seth Rollins was standing across from him listening patiently. However, the audience had something else in mind and wouldn't let Balor speak. They began to sing the Rollins tune. As Balor raised the mic to his lips, the chants didn't subside. They grew louder, as if the crowd was challenging him to be heard over their collective voice. It was a moment of pure, unscripted interaction between a superstar and his fans. Balor kept trying to speak, but his voice was barely a whisper against the sea of fans. Amidst this chaos, Seth Rollins, who had been standing off to the side, could not help a chuckle that escaped his lips. Seconds later, laughter poured forth from Rollins. Balor became fully aware that his words would not be heard, so he lowered the microphone. He exchanged a glance with Rollins, who struggled to maintain his professionalism amidst the chaos. Roman Reigns versus a high fan. During an episode of Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns was making his way to the ring when he literally shocked fans by breaking character. The WWE Universe was watching with anticipation as he prepared to address them. As Reigns began to speak, his eyes locked onto a particular fan in the audience. There was something about this fan that caught the champion's attention. Something surprisingly small prompted him to deviate from the expected narrative. The fan in question was blissfully unaware that they were about to become part of an unforgettable WWE moment. As fans' red eyes were the giveaway, and Reigns didn't miss a beat. He called them out with a chuckle, breaking character for just a moment. It was a candid exchange, one that showcased Reigns' quick wit and his capacity to engage with fans in a way that few superstars could. Seth Rollins praises Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns began their journey in the early 2010s when both men were hungry up-and-comers in WWE's developmental territory. It wasn't long before they, alongside Dean Ambrose, erupted onto the main roster as The Shield. Rollins and Reigns, along with Ambrose, were an unstoppable unit, capturing championship gold and the adoration of fans worldwide. However, in 2014, Rollins shocked the world by turning on his brethren, severing the bond with a chair shot heard around the globe. Since then, Rollins and Reigns have been in constant rivalry, and each one battles fiercely to make a name for themselves. Rollins became the architect, a master manipulator and strategist, while Reigns rose as the big dog, a powerhouse with a commanding presence. Surprisingly, Seth Rollins broke character during an ESPN interview when he aired his views about Roman Reigns. Rollins shocked the world when he referred to Reigns as his brother. He further broke character by saying, "Roman Reigns is one of the best performers of our generation." It was a powerful endorsement from a man who had once been Reigns' fiercest adversary. CM Punk's pipe bomb promo. During an episode of Monday Night Raw, CM Punk, dressed in a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt, made his way to the top of the ramp. With a calm demeanor, he sat cross-legged and looked straight into the camera. What followed was a 6-minute monologue that would become the stuff of legend. Punk's pipe bomb promo was a heavy critique of the WWE and its management. He addressed the audience with a blend of personal grievances and industry-wide criticisms, calling out the company's top brass, including Vince McMahon, for their favoritism and failure to recognize talent. Punk didn't hold back, mentioning backstage politics, the stifling of wrestlers' creativity, and the company's inability to listen to its fan base. He even broke the fourth wall by mentioning rival promotions and wrestlers who were thriving outside WWE's empire. The immediate reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Fans were left questioning the authenticity of what they had just witnessed. Was this a planned part of the show, or had Punk gone rogue? In the wake of CM Punk's pipe bomb, the landscape of WWE underwent a strategic shift. Titus O'Neil touched Vince McMahon's arm. In February 2016, WWE witnessed one of the most emotional and outstanding retirement announcements in WWE history. The beloved superstar Daniel Bryan stepped into the ring to deliver his heart-wrenching retirement announcement. As the show was coming to an end, the superstars began to disperse from the stage when something unexpected occurred. Titus O'Neil reached out and grabbed Vince McMahon's arm. McMahon was notably surprised by this, but he quickly shrugged off O'Neil's grip. The cameras captured the moment briefly as McMahon seemed to exchange words with O'Neil before walking away. The incident, which lasted only a few seconds, seemed unnoticed to many onlookers. However, it was what happened behind the scenes that would lead to a decision that sent shockwaves through the WWE. In the aftermath of this incident, Titus O'Neil was suspended from WWE. Initially, reports indicated that the suspension would last for 90 days and would cause O'Neil to miss out on the grand spectacle of WrestleMania. Fans, fellow wrestlers, and industry commentators poured out their support for O'Neil, and the suspension was eventually reduced to 60 days. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens changed a match. In the fast-paced world of WWE, where every move is meticulously planned and every line is carefully scripted, the events of the November 2017 SmackDown Live would go down in history as a night of unforeseen rebellion. It was a night that would forever alter the careers of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, two of the industry's most talented figures. Among the scheduled events was a segment featuring the beloved trio, The New Day, having a face-off with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. The plan was for The New Day to engage in a verbal sparring match with Zayn and Owens, leading to a physical confrontation where The New Day would stand tall, leaving the villains humiliated and the audience thrilled. However, Zayn and Owens didn't like the narrative. During the match, something unexpected happened. Instead of engaging in the planned beatdown, Owens and Zayn abruptly exited the ring. This was not part of the script. Members of The New Day were visibly confused, their routine disrupted by the sudden departure of their opponents. The decision by Zayn and Owens to go off script was a direct challenge to the authority of the WWE's creative team. Their act of defiance had not only changed the outcome of the match, but it also set in motion a series of events that would lead to their removal from the tour. Daniel Bryan choked Justin Roberts. During a Raw Viewer's Choice episode on WWE, which featured John Cena taking on CM Punk, fans would experience a shocking turn of events. The match was abruptly interrupted by The Nexus, who stormed the ring with intensity. What followed was a brutal assault on Cena. In the midst of the chaos, Daniel Bryan's actions would stand out. In a moment that no one saw coming, Bryan grabbed Justin Roberts' tie and used it to choke the ring announcer. This act, so shocking, was a departure from Bryan's usual character. In the immediate aftermath of the incident, the WWE Universe was left reeling. Swift action was necessary to address the situation and maintain the integrity of WWE. Daniel Bryan was subsequently released from his contract. The official statement from WWE cited Bryan's actions during the closing moments of Raw, which had violated the company's PG content guidelines, as the reason for his release. Ric Flair is caught blading. Ric Flair was the winner of 1992 Royal Rumble and was the WWF champion at the time of WrestleMania 8. At that time, Flair was a known rival of Randy Savage and was claiming to have had an affair with Savage's wife. With this storyline, Flair and Savage were paired for a showdown at WrestleMania for the WWF's top prize. However, the script would be altered by none other than Flair. Despite the company's standing no blood policy, Ric Flair decided to go against the rules. During the event, Flair was caught on camera blading. Although Randy Savage claimed the victory and won his second WWF championship, Ric Flair blading remained on the lips of the fans. Flair's blading angered Vince McMahon so much so that he was fined several $1,000s. Although McMahon was not happy with his actions, the fans were thrilled by it. The WWE is no doubt the home of premium entertainment where wrestling is concerned. Check out any of our other videos by clicking the cards on your screen.